I did Google this, by the way,
and
I saw pronouns, and there are some people who are non-binary who want to be referred to as X. Like,
even ZE.
Hi guys, Murugi Munyi here.
It's Lydia KM.
And we're back again with another episode of
The Messy In Between.
It's definitely TMI. Oh, we didn't tell how we sing. Oh, we didn't tell them we sing.
Oh, there you go. You've started.
There you go. I love
it. Let's go.
Listen, we made it 6 seconds in. High five for 6 seconds.
Well,
thank you.
The pressure is off. The pressure is off.
At least we've done it.
Jeez. Has made a mistake.
You know, welcome guys to this episode. We're so excited that you're here. If this is your first time watching TMI, please pause and just subscribe. It really helps our channel. It really helps us grow. It really helps us make money, which is one of the most important things. Welcome. And today we have a very special guest. A very special guest who you've already seen when we have said it's definitely TMI. So they are. Let me let you introduce yourself because I'm shaking in my the sweat on my butt crack right now. I can't even tell you.
Today I'm here to make sure that Lydia and Murugi are extremely uncomfortable and they make all the mistakes and we learn at the end of the day. My name is Chris Muriithi. I am a happy human being. I'm a flawed human being. I do advocacy work for the queer community. I'm a trained journalist, a film producer, actor. So I just have very many things going on. But above all those things, I'm a human being.
We love that. Thank you so much for being here. This is something which we have discussed having Chris over and over again. But it's now, after months, that we've decided, you know what? Get serious, guys. Get serious because we know this is a really important conversation.
Absolutely.
Also, I got to say it. Their name is Chris Muriithi.
Yes.
McKenna is not their name.
At all. At all.
Yeah.
In fact, it's the first interview that I'm sitting ever since I saw a big hula baloo on social media. Oh, McKenna and Jerry finally changes their name to Chris Muriithi, and there was a huge discussion. And I'm like, guys, McKenna is actually not my name. For the people who are watching and have known me since I was on screen with Tahiti High, McKenna was my acting name in Tahiti High. I was the head girl of Tahiti High for 4 years. And after I left Tahiti High, it was very, very hard for me to be able to change that name because so many people in the industry knew me as McKenna, you know? So finally, 2 years ago, I was like, it's time to, get back to my original name. So Chris Jerry Muriithi, McKenna is my acting name, and please stop the drama. It's not my name.
It's not your name.
It's not my name. Even though Instagram is still McKenna Jerry, they're trying to change it. So we're gonna do our best to not say McKenna today.
I know.
So many
I'm
things
like,
so many things to think about.
And the way I was on the car on the way here, I was just like, McKenna they them, McKenna they them. Saying it so many times. Now I'm just thrown off. I'm just thrown off.
Let's go.
Now it's Chris they them.
Exactly.
Today we wanted to have an amazing conversation which we've been really wanting to have because so many of you are curious. Actually, this is what was most inspired by our dilemma episode because when we went through the dilemmas, we could see a lot of people were curious about their sexuality, about gender identity. So today we're going to be talking about sexuality and gender identity.
Yes.
And for the purpose of the conversation, we're going to be saying the community, or Chris is going to be saying the queer community. We're referring to the LGBTQIA plus community.
Is that where it's reached now?
Yeah.
Okay.
IA plus.
The plus, we paused there. So now the plus is for anything else.
Everything.
To ever come, right?
The spectrum,
But you never know what kind. You never know, sweetie.
What's the I and the A stand for? Actually, tell us what it all stands for.
Okay, under pressure to represent the community. Let me try and do this. Lesbian, gay, bi, LGBT, trans, intersex,
QI.
queer, asexual, plus.
Okay, fine.
And the I was
intersex.
But queer is like all of everyone.
Umbrella term.
Is umbrella term.
Yeah. So like myself, I like using queer.
Okay,
yeah,
great.
it's the umbrella term.
Yeah. All right, fine. Okay, so maybe we can just talk about your own personal journey as far as your sexuality, but your gender identity.
So maybe just so that I don't go, all too deep. Born female, and that's what the doctors and my parents saw, and that's what people grew up, even feminine name, all those different kind of things. Then when I was the age of about 8, 9, I started noticing, as a child, the different things that I wanted to do were really not what society and the different norms that had been presented. So I was constantly, saying I want to wear, male clothes. I was constantly wanting to rock my brother's clothes. I was struggling with wearing dresses to go to church and all those different kind of things. And the journey and the conversation kind of started over there. I was more into, playing with the boys compared to playing with the girls. And so, at that particular time, you're still young. So you're just like, okay, there's just something here, but I can tell that there is something that is happening. And then now later on as a teenager, of course, going through adolescence, I started realizing that what and who I am attracted to is very different from what society expects of girls. So another realization checked in over there. And then now fully as an adult, being in the scene, working in different spaces, being in environments where you can be able to express yourself even more, I finally came to my own realization that, I am actually queer. And beyond that, now later on, like over 26, 27, I was able now to come into my identity being non-binary, meaning I never felt like I wanted to be referred to as a man. Just, many people are like, you wear suits, so are you a man? All those different things. And also I just did not feel like I want to be associated with being a woman. I just felt like I was an in-betweener. What's up, in-betweeners? Yeah. So I was just there, and I was like, okay, then I'm non-binary because I don't ascribe to being a man. I don't ascribe to being a woman. I was just there in between. So that has been the journey up until now.
Yeah. We were talking to Chris earlier, and we are just saying how you are the one who represents the community
in the eyes of Kenyans.
In the eyes of Kenya, even in my own personal eyes, because when we were thinking, who can we have this? We didn't even think
it was
literally
a conversation.
It was just
automatic.
Like, definitely, what is that like, and has that been a lot? Is there a lot of pressure?
I mean, it comes with a lot. You can only imagine if you're told today that you're the one who represents women in Kenya. It means that everything you say, women are just there watching. It's crazy. Yeah. So, of course, it comes with a lot of pressure. I think there are people in the scene who are doing the work. It just, it just maybe means because I was already a public figure, being on screen for such a long time, being a journalist, working with different media houses, including the BBC. So it just gave me that kind of international scene. And then now me coming out publicly on a TEDx talk, also just, maybe many people from around the world were like, oh, this is the person who, we can look at their page and all their different kind of things. So I am grateful to the universe, for that opportunity. I don't take it for granted. For sure, it has happened because someone in the universe somewhere has decided, Chris, this is your purpose, this is your journey, try and follow it. But I try my best to represent the community the best way I know. I'm not 100%, everything that I say is a true representation of people in the community. I respect and value their different identities, but I do my best to just use my own lived experiences to try and represent the community the best way I know. So I am honored, but also I love and respect the community, and I'm always open for them to say, maybe you don't know this about this, this is what it means. You can explain this in a different way.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're doing a fantastic job.
You're doing an amazing
You're doing a fantastic job.
Thank you.
How did your parents react? At what point did you tell them? Was it when you were 8 or when you were 15 or when you are now an adult? And how did they react? Like, how do they feel about that?
So my parents, angels, may they rest in peace. I lost both my parents. But I remember as a child, my mom was always like, I want you to wear this dress to go to church, and right now as an adult, I don't fault her because that is what she knew. She was trying to raise me the best way that she knew. So we definitely had struggles there, especially when it came to my wardrobe. My dad was kind of cool. I mean, because I think he was happy to just like buy me safari boots. And I grew up in the farm. I grew up in Nakuru. So I think for him, it was just like, let her rock
just
whatever she
farm,
wants to rock,
Yeah.
Oh, it was a she then. Yes.
Yeah. You're good. You're good there. In the past, Ukosawa. You're doing okay. You're doing fine. So, just letting me be and I appreciate them as well right now thinking about it because at some point they just let me be. Before, my mom passed on, I had this conversation with her when I was an adult and I had started dating and I had started exploring what it means to be queer for me. I had this conversation with her. I was brought up a Christian. I am still a Christian. There are just very many different views that have changed for me over time. So of course she went back, to what the Bible says and all these different kind of things. But she said over and above that, you are my child.
Right.
And I love you.
Yeah.
And my journey also, she had seen me go through different things even in high school and all those things. So I think it wasn't new to them,
Yeah.
They had definitely seen a couple of, different things here and there. But she said over and above it, I've raised you in the church, you know what the Bible says, but I love you.
Yeah.
And she gave me love, so I know that me and my mom were absolutely fine. My dad never had, time to talk about it. I think for him, he was just like, just do you. And maybe also culturally, he did not feel comfortable to
Yeah.
even open up that kind
For
of
sure.
space.
Yeah.
So my parents were, supportive to the best way
that they could.
at
Yeah,
particular
I think
points.
that's one of the things people are most curious about is like how for the people who do want to come out. Number one, I think it's Joe who had asked, is it necessary to come out? And two, what's the best way to go about it? Maybe from the perspective of you who's coming out, and maybe for the parent who would like to know what's the best way to receive a queer child.
Yeah. When I think about coming out, and I always try and educate people right now about coming out and how I look at it, I always say stop even thinking about it as coming out. Think about it as letting people into your life.
Right. Yeah.
Like just let people into your life. So you're already finding me loving to, rocking suits and all these different kind of things. I don't need to come out to tell you why I love rocking suits, I'm just letting you in. So what you need to do, if you're my friend, if you're my family, is walk with me in my journey. Because even you as a straight person, there's no point that you've ever come out to tell me, oh, by the way, I'm straight. You just let me in. I check into your space, I find you with your partner who is a husband, you have children, and I'm fine with that. I sit, we have a meal, we keep it moving. But of course the oppression that has happened to queer people over time, some people will always feel the need of I actually need to tell people who I am, so that I'm not forced into, we want you to get married and we expect you to come here with a man if you're a woman, or a man with a woman if whatever it is, and they get to that point where they feel the pressure to come out. What I always say is, I'll answer this way: it is not necessary, but if it matters to you, then feel free to not come out. Try and change the view this moving forward. Let people in. Let people in. So that it's I feel like coming out is faced with that thing for, it's like, whoa, we're going to war. We're coming out. So just let people in. People in. So it's not necessary. And then think about your environment, at the right time, when it works for you, when it's safe for you, all those different kind of things.
I feel like coming out right now, especially in this climate, in African culture, is a political act.
For
Really, is
sure.
what it is. It's definitely
sure.
a political act. It's like, I'm making a stand. Even I notice a lot of people on social media, even though they are not part of the community, even saying anything that makes you aligned in one way or another automatically makes you part of the conversation. I feel like a lot of people are scared to say that, or scared to do that, which is why when one person like Bien the other day who came and said, I support the community, and now it's news. Like it's news that a person has said, I support people just being themselves. I was like, why is this news, kind of thing.
And also
it's been wrapped with politics.
It's been wrapped with politics.
Actually, it's not even separate anymore.
It's really
it's
just
once
the
you
same
do
thing.
what you're saying is that what is happening in politics, you can answer a question. That
That's
means
the
this, then that means you're in support. I mean, it's insane. One thing I stopped doing, first of all, I myself am loudly an ally. I'm not afraid of that at all.
TMI as an entity, we are allies.
We are allies, which means we are so open in conversation to have curiosity. As Chris said, be curious, ask the questions, but we draw the line at hate. By the way, we drew these boundaries in January. Hate in our page, not tolerated in any way. So I'm loud and I'm an ally myself. But one question which always bothers me is when I do a Q&A, there's always someone who's asking me, a heterosexual cis woman, what I think of the community. It's just, it's a weird
It's like,
thing.
do
And
you
I
believe
stopped answering
in
it.
homosexuality?
I stopped answering it
Is it a
because I
belief
feel like
system?
we're always going to be putting the cis heterosexual people in a place of deciding what it means, or is it okay, but really that's not what it should be. I'm a person, my way of living and the way I want to live my life is not above anybody else's. It's not. So that means on a level playing field, we all get the opportunity to live life the way that we want.
When you were introducing yourself, you didn't say I'm non-binary. Do you sometimes feel the need to like clarify that for people? Like maybe you walk into a room and you can tell of people are like wondering, is she a she? Is she no a she? Like,
Yeah.
do you feel the need to be like, and I'm non-binary?
No,
No?
not at all.
Okay. Do you ever volunteer that information unless it's asked?
Unless it's asked, and also it depends with who is asking. I only give out that information to people who already feel like safe spaces and are allies, because I'm genuinely not about to waste 1 hour of my time, speaking to
explaining.
someone who is never gonna get it, or
Yeah.
they've already presented themselves as this is wrong and blah 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 blah. Then that just means we're not aligned.
Yeah.
And you've not opened up space for me to be able to explain what you are asking. So I just move, honestly.
Yeah.
If I enter into a room and I'm wearing a suit, I move. You
Yeah.
have a problem, you be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
This is just me doing life. I never make other people feel uncomfortable because they're straight.
Yeah.
So please just don't make people in the community feel uncomfortable just because they're queer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we're so glad that they accepted to come on TMI.
Exactly.
Because that means we
I
are a
feel so
safe
honored.
space.
Exactly.
I feel so good
I
about
say that to Lydia. I said I stopped doing media interviews, because you go and sit in spaces where people already are not impartial as
Yes,
journalists.
yeah.
And as journalists, you should be impartial. Then number two, you sit in spaces where people are either are not allies, or even if they're not allies, they're not open, to this kind of conversation.
Yeah.
So I'm really just wasting my energy.
Yeah.
But when I thought about TMI, I look at your audience, I look at the kind of conversation that you have, the fact that you guys have a rule for no hate. We should just always move with love. So I was like,
Absolutely, yeah.
I've not done interviews in such a long time, but this one I was like, I'm gonna come.
This is like the best
This is the
compliment
best thing
Yeah.
ever.
Honestly,
Ever. Because that's
honestly.
why we started TMI, to have
Yeah.
conversations that move the needle forward. There's a way you say it. Isn't it moving the conversation forward? There's
Move
a
the
way
needle-
Joe says
yeah.
what we do.
No, I obviously
And
can't
it's
remember it,
now
but
you
I'll
can't
say it
remember.
random-
But anyway,
think about it
Joe says
randomly
it,
on
and
the
it's like,
toilet.
There
it's
you
basically
go.
trying to say
Yeah.
we are not here to find the world exactly as it is. We're here
Yeah.
to have conversations that expand the world,
Yeah.
move the
Yeah.
conversation forward.
Yeah. And clearly, from what the audience is always asking us, a lot of people are thinking about it, but it's like almost like they don't have a space where they can ask those questions and have those questions answered in a way that makes sense.
Yeah.
Here's something I have a problem with.
Yes.
Do members of the community feel negative about the fact that you guys are referred to as queer? Because queer is like weird, strange.
like
and
odd.
us we are straight. So us we are like straight. So are you guys crooked? Like it automatically naturally just has some kind of like derogatory-ness.
Yeah.
But yet people in the community are always referring to themselves as queer.
Yeah.
So is that just like
So if you go back to history, queer history, queer was a very, very derogatory term, just like you've said. So it was used to slander, discriminate, all those different kind of things. And then over the years, queer people decided to take their identity back.
Yeah.
From, like those things of saying queer, blah, blah, blah. You're like, actually, no. We are unique. We are different. There are people who I always say I'm different and I love my difference. I love my difference. So it's like queer people took it back to say, okay, cool.
I'm queer.
I'm queer. I'm different. I'm unique, and I
Yeah.
love it. So we took it back. So right now, that's why you see very many people in the community saying queer.
Yeah.
Because now we are okay with the term and we love it.
Even when I think about it visually, I think heterosexual says, oh, just straight. You just here, just
Una
move.
bow.
And then it's like a wiggly line.
Exactly.
But I
Yeah.
actually find the beauty in that. I'm
It's
just
a
like,
wiggly line.
you're more fluid. You're
Yeah.
more,
Yeah.
like you more move like
Yeah.
water as opposed
Yeah.
to like you're stiff. But it's just like the visual. I'm not saying all you straight people are stiff. You're fine. You're great. You're
Thank
amazing.
you. Thank you so much. Lydia, thank you.
You're not. We had people sending in some questions, so we're gonna be throwing some of them
Yeah.
at you.
Yeah.
So one of the ones is about pronouns, which I think you've already addressed.
Yeah.
So for those who are non-binary, you want to be referred to with they, them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not everybody who is non-binary. So you will still even find people. Yeah.
Wait, what?
Look at us being shocked. Lydia and I, by the way, we're also here to learn because
Okay,
we all
but
know
love it.
shit.
I did see.
Yeah.
I did Google this, by the way,
Yep.
Yeah.
and I saw pronouns, and there are some people who are non-binary who want to be referred to as X.
Yep.
Like, yeah.
Even ZE. Guys.
Yeah, and that's because there's no other. So first of all, binary refers to male, female.
It's like two.
It's
There's
the
only
two.
two options
right.
of what you
so
can
now
do.
binary is I'm not participating in the binary
two.
in this. So that means anyone can pick whatever.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
you
there's
will-
some standard ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's they them.
There's they, them, there's she, her, there's he, him. You'll find other people who are gonna say she, they, he, they. Yeah. So it kind of just
Wait,
like
so why she
they.
her and you're non-binary?
okay. So
Notes. Are
Can
you
we-
guys taking notes?
Can we go into the definition of non-binary?
Yes,
please.
please.
Yeah.
So non-binary for myself, and like I said, it varies for different people. Personally, I am non-binary because I do not feel like I want to be called a man. I do not feel like I want to be called a woman. They're different. The different spectrums of those two does not fit my existence.
Right.
Yeah, I am an in-betweener. I am non-binary. Yeah. Then you find other people who are gonna say, I am non-binary, but I am more, I go towards more of the feminine.
Okay, it's a spectrum.
You get it? It's a spectrum. It's a spectrum.
okay.
And if you think about it, I always say, I always have this conversation with one of my very good friends when we just, go down into breaking the lenses of non-binary. When you put human beings and condition them in specific boxes,
Yeah.
in one way or another, that's why we've even gotten to the place where women are fighting for their rights. Because people were only conditioned to certain boxes. And in this box, this is what is expected. And in this box, this is what is expected.
Yeah.
Even you as cis straight women, you still find yourself in the spectrum of wanting to say, I'm a woman, but it does not mean that I cannot do
X,
jobs.
Y, and Y.
Yes.
And now what happens in the spectrum of non-binary is we say goodbye to all those norms. And now when it comes to pronoun, there are very many different variations,
Yeah.
when it comes to that. There are people who even just say, I'm okay with whatever pronoun.
Yeah.
If you wake up and you want to call me she, her, him, his, they, them,
Yeah.
it's just opening a spectrum of people to exist in whichever shape or form
That
they
they
feel that they
want.
want to exist
Yeah.
in.
Okay, so from what you've said, and I think I asked you this yesterday, so non-binary, it's not that you don't identify with both genders, it's that you identify with neither, or it can be either that you identify with both or you don't identify with either.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But so does that mean then that there are some female experiences that you take part in and also male experiences?
100%.
So for example, if it's
okay.
International Women's Day, would it be appropriate to tell you Happy Women's Day?
So for me, no.
Okay.
But you'll find other non-binary people who
Yeah.
will be okay with that.
Okay.
So like even
Because
just
spectrum.
during International Women's Day, so many people were saying, "Oh, we celebrate Chris Muriithi." I was like, I'm actually non-binary. It doesn't mean that I don't,
That
vibe
must
with.
get exhausting constantly telling people day after day,
Yeah.
like just
Yeah.
reminding
Yeah.
people.
Or sometimes I really don't.
yeah.
Sometimes I'm just like, it's cool, make
you know
your
what they
mistakes.
meant.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
okay. I know that you come from a good place. If
Yeah.
you don't come from a good place, we really just don't waste time.
Yeah.
At all.
One of the things actually that I feel the reason why I like to be as open as possible is because I am a marginalized person. I'm a woman, so I'm marginalized in that way. I also grew up in a country where I was an ethnic minority, and believe you me, I know that feeling of it's like you're weird for existing. In every room you go, you're seeing you're the one, and then there's 100 others that are nothing like you. So that feeling of just being different, then on top of that, people having laws and beliefs and habits and whatever to make it even harder. I know exactly what that's like, and to me sometimes it's perplexing to have us on the one hand fighting for rights for everyone to be equal based on race, for everyone to be equal based on their sex, but that's what we draw the line at gender, we draw the line at sexual identity, those kind of things. For me, the math doesn't math
It
to
just
me.
doesn't math,
It's like if we want everyone to be equal, why are we drawing the line here? But you're only drawing the line because you're not part of that group. Because that doesn't affect you. Let the women have their rights, but since me, I'm not gay, like, oh no, that doesn't affect
exactly.
me.
Yeah.
So I feel like we can look at open-mindedness the way you just said
the way
it.
you
It's
just
like
said it,
everyone has maybe something they're marginalized for. Think about it that way. If you are part of this group, how you would feel and do what you would want someone to do for you.
Yeah. I feel like also a lot of the people who are like vehemently against the community, for them it feels like members of the community just choose, like you just chose. I just feel like I just don't identify, or I just feel like I want to sleep with women, or I just feel like so can we talk a bit about that? Do you feel like that's natural? Can anyone come into it like and decide later on, or do you feel like it's something that people are just born with, like feeling a certain way?
So now this goes now into that, like the whole explanation that I gave even as a child growing up. You see, naturally, even if I was born a woman, at the age of 9, 10, I was kind of like drawn into wanting to do the masculine things, to wear the masculine clothes to do. So at that particular point, are you trying to say that this child is choosing?
Yeah, that's a
It's
question.
just and you see kids are innocent. They're just really going towards what they feel works for them.
Yeah.
You know, what they feel. They were like, oh, I want to go and climb a tree, or I want to do this, you know, I want to do this, and we let them be. You know, so I struggle with that thing of people saying they choose to be this way.
Yeah.
You know, they choose to be this way. You didn't choose to be straight. It's because you were born a woman, and it has just so happened that your biological sex and your identity completely match. That your attraction is towards the opposite sex.
Yeah.
So I'm not coming to tell you, no, you chose to, you know, to be attracted to men. No, it just means how you were born, what you feel has just matched. So it also means that for the queer people, they were born this way, but how they end up, you know, identifying based on their attractions and feelings, you know, can be different, and that should just be respected in one way or another. Or even if you don't respect it or understand it, ask the questions.
Yeah.
You know, ask the questions to understand. You know,
and also I don't know why me respecting how you live is dependent on whether or not you have the choice in it, because I choose to be a podcaster.
Yeah,
just
what-
respect that. I choose to have my braids blonde.
Yeah.
You respect that. So I think people, I don't know why we hang on to that, because either way, how somebody chooses to live their life can be their choice if they
be
wanted
their-
it
yeah,
to, and
yeah.
we respect them anyway.
Yeah.
And right now you just spoke about the Bold Network, so maybe share more about what
the
the
Bold
Bold
Network,
Network.
Yeah, so I run an organization that does advocacy work for the queer community using storytelling, because as a journalist working in different media houses before, I realized how queer identities were always reduced or not reported, you know, clearly, like that. Someone is not going to take time to go into African history identities, you know, for queer folks. I don't blame them, you know, the media has to be balanced. But for me, I was like, I'm a journalist, I'm a storyteller. So why don't I take, you know, this opportunity to make sure that my platform tells stories about the queer community in Africa. Their wins, their struggles, their past, predict their future, you know, just and to just make people understand, because I feel like in the African society people really do not understand very many things.
That's true.
Yeah. One of the things Lydia and I were talking about yesterday is
We had this conversation
we had
before
it was
to
really
prep.
Lydia
It
was
was so
literally at the
riveting.
salon or
Okay.
something. I was in my car just shouting, I'm like, so now we this say and then we had so many silences. We were like, we need to think about that for a second, right? And we were talking about it as regards, let's say, the education system. So now with all these different pronouns and all these different like identities that people can be, do you think like is the ultimate goal of the community for that to be ingrained in the education system like worldwide, you know, so that when we are growing up, because we only grow up knowing he, she, you know, even like when you learn in French, like things have gender and it's only ever it's a man or it's a woman. So I mean, where do you see the future of the community with regards to the education system? Is that something that, you know, you guys would want ingrained in there?
Because the binary is in everything.
Yeah,
Everything.
literally everything we do. Yeah.
I think if you look back, touchy issue.
Okay, how does it work in progressive countries?
Yeah.
Have you seen that being?
In progressive countries, you know, we already seen in the education system, you know, people just being told that a family can be like this and a family can be like this. You know, already, and it's just like basic kind of what we push is respect, all those different kind of things, understanding that people can exist in different shapes and forms. I think what I say is, I always tell people we're only moving forward, never moving backwards.
Yeah,
It is next to impossible to think that you can wipe out an entire generation of queer folks.
that's factual.
Next to impossible. You know, people only keep on becoming, you know, bolder. People only keep on becoming, you know, confident to go into their identity and be who they want to be. So over time, it's something that is not even going to be a question. It's something that will have to be adapted in one way or another.
Because they're here.
Because they're here.
We are here.
Because what happens is what happens is when you have parents who have taken their kids to a school, and those parents are parents who fall into the spectrum of being queer, and they want their kids to grow up in a school where we're not saying if that kid grows up and they still want to be straight, amazing, we'll support and love you. You know, if their kid grows up and says this is how I want to be, we'll support and love you. But they also want to know that the kids in those schools are not being taught to feel like where they go back home, it's a wrong kind of a
It's
situation,
wrong or it's
because
strange,
here we are
yeah.
only pushing binary. So I think over time, naturally,
It's going to be a part of it. I think in the West there are a lot of families who are like someone has two moms, two dads. So I feel like now actually there are people who are maybe my age or even older who that's the setting. So by the time it's their children or their grandchildren, we are definitely going to have a different landscape. One of the biggest questions that came up when we did the Q&A on Instagram. You don't follow us on Instagram, TMI.
What are you doing?
Why?
Please.
Why?
Is
the constant, so I kissed a girl, so am I this? So I did this. I've never had sex with men. There's actually somebody said they've never had sex with men except for like finger stuff. But then they've been with women. Sex with women a lot. So where does this stand? Can you be bi and poly at the same time? Somebody asked, I don't know, girl. I want to know too.
Right? Tell us.
Those ones, those like, where do I stand? Like, where is my sexuality? I like to do things with this. I like to do things with that.
Explore away until you find where it makes sense for you.
AKA have fun.
Have fun.
Yeah. And also I feel like research, because sometimes people just don't even know that, you almost feel like it's a unique experience to just you know. But if you come and listen to things like TMI podcast or you go and follow the Bold Network and you see like there are people who exist who are in between everywhere. Last week you were with a man, this week you're with a woman, and it can just be just what it is. You're just where you are. I think that,
remember, it's your bedroom affairs. Nobody has power over whatever you want to do in your bedroom, and I feel like even for the queer community, the reason why this conversation always tends to go into that whole sexualization, hypersexualization,
address that.
I'm like why are we going into what people do in their bedroom?
That's
because I don't go into what straight people do in their bedroom. And also the community also has some work to do there, in how we also portray and have different conversations of our existence. Let us move away from the umbrella of sexualizing, our existence. We are human beings trying to fit into different spaces, trying to get jobs, trying to, have access to healthcare and all those different things, which are even, more, strange, crazy issues compared to, hypersexualizing different kind of things. So I'm just like, let's move away from hypersexualizing queer folks. As human beings, queer folks, we also have a responsibility to just make sure we just present ourselves as human beings first before we go into bedroom issues.
Okay. What are appropriate and inappropriate questions to ask someone with regards to like their sexuality or their gender identity? I saw someone asking, she has a friend and she's wondering, she thinks she might be lesbian. Is it appropriate for her to ask her, are you a lesbian? Is that appropriate? Or if it's like a non-binary person, do you get offended if like, someone asks you, so are you a man or are you a woman kind of thing, Also, as I told you, I'm in a bar, I'm flirting with you, and it's like we are going home and I want to know, should I buy a condom? Should I not buy a condom? Like when is the appropriate time to ask certain questions?
I think I always go into the best way to ask people is how do you identify?
Okay, how do you identify?
So it's not, are you a man, are you a woman? That comes a little bit, weird. So how do you identify? When it comes to, trying to understand where someone fits, if people are gracious enough to be asked that question, then they should be able to answer all the way down to, their body anatomy. Like, this is,
I have a vagina,
exactly.
I have a penis.
Exactly. But the most inappropriate things that I normally see that I have also gone through myself is having people, go say, you have a lot of masculine energy, but you have a butt. I'm like, do I talk to straight people using their body anatomy?
It's
like,
strange.
Do I come here and say, oh, you're feminine, but your boobs are small or your boobs are big? Or as women, you guys are gonna be offended. Why do we talk to queer people through their body anatomy? Let's talk to them just the way you speak to everybody else. At the end of the day. Have I answered you?
I think you've answered me.
Yeah.
If someone then give a straight question, then you just gotta.
You're never gonna get an answer.
Exactly. You're just never gonna get an answer.
All right. I feel like it's always good to come from the place I guess maybe me and Joe are coming from, which is just like, I don't get it, I don't know, but I hope
I'm open to
I'm
learning.
not being offensive. I feel like that's the way to go, as opposed to coming so boldly and you're actually being ignorant. There was also like a lot of people. Well, there was actually somebody who had asked us, for the sake of debate, we should have somebody who's anti the community for obvious reasons. As we said, we don't understand how you're anti other people living their life the way that they want, according to how they want to live.
Do you feel like life was easier before you came out versus now? Do you feel like
Of course, coming out has its own different, things that you need to think about. For me, being a public figure, I always just had people either in my inner circle who, of course, knew that I was queer. Then we had people who had speculations. But for me, it was so painful to always feel like I was living a lie.
yeah,
You know,
that must be difficult.
Now
That must
when
take
I
a toll.
compare this difficult right now of
Yeah.
everybody knowing
Yeah.
and that situation of it being difficult for me to just feel like I'm living a lie, I would much rather have this. I would much rather have the
Yeah.
freedom of this is just who I am.
Yeah.
And at home I'm not being forced to bring a man because you're the one who is next online and you're struggling with those conversations of how you're going to explain all these different kind of things. It's better that now everybody in my life, my friends, whoever, know that this is who I am. My family that this is who I am. So this is much better. But also difficult.
But difficult.
Very,
to
very
imagine.
difficult.
Of course, I can't imagine at all the hardship, but being the fact that I feel like I possess my sense of freedom to express myself so close to me, I can imagine that that being stifled is harder than the consequences of
100%.
being free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It messes up with your mental health. It messes up with your day to day.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember when I was working one of the media houses here in Kenya, and I had to constantly think about my wardrobe every morning. You're like, okay, I want to wear this shirt and I want to wear this, but will it be too much? Might they think
Will it be too masculine now?
Will that person, where I know that person is going to ask me a question? You're thinking about so many things that other people are not thinking about.
Yeah.
You wake up in the morning, you put your makeup, you pick a dress, you bounce.
Yeah.
So when you finally get that freedom, I don't think about my wardrobe. I just rock it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I go.
Yeah.
And you're not like out, let's say with someone, you're thinking, oh my God, can I hold her hand? No, people are
There
gonna
you go.
see.
Yeah.
It must be such a stifling
Exactly.
way to live.
Exactly.
Jeez.
Exactly.
Actually, Chris told us before we started this conversation is that just because you are an ally like me and Joe are, doesn't mean that you yourself don't have things that you feel resistance to, or you don't understand, or you feel like actually that one is just too much. Can we take the opportunity? I was about to say
For
for they.
for them.
For them. Yeah, there you go.
To explain the separation between gender and
Sexual
gender identity.
Gender identity and sexuality.
And sex.
And sex.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go.
Sex, which is
You guys are doing very well.
Yeah, the separation between sex and your gender identity.
Yeah.
Then Joe can answer.
Okay. Biological sex is what is, when you were born as a child and the doctor looked at you, and I'm going to use myself as an example, they saw a girl, they saw a vagina, they saw all those different things and went ahead my birth certificate and said female.
Yeah.
From what they saw. Gender identity is directly attracted to who you are attracted to and how you feel at the end of the day. I see very many people struggling and fighting this, saying, how can we just accept these people because of how they feel and what they're attracted to?
Yeah.
But let's think about it. Murugi, you have a partner. Before you had this partner, you felt something for them. You felt a sense of attraction, and it made sense for you.
It did.
You said, oh wow, I'm attracted to this person. You have a partner, you've had partners. You felt a sense of attraction and it made sense for you.
Right.
You get? So now that's where gender identity comes. So they identify according to what they are comfortable and feel, so it doesn't matter how you were born. It matters, actually, let me not say it doesn't matter. It matters that, there's a parent or a doctor who looked at you and said, you're a boy, you're a girl because of your anatomy and what they picked up. But you will grow up now to be able to say, actually, it aligns with what the doctor and my parents said, or what my doctor and my parents said is okay, but this is what I'm attracted to right now. This is what I feel,
There's a video that was going around on social media of some white woman, I think in the States, who was saying about how, where does it end if we are just allowing people to feel how they want to feel? Because there's this guy who, was it a guy or a girl, who's like, I feel her body is fine, but she feels like a disabled person. So she went and cut off her arm so she could be disabled.
Is that real?
That is real. Actually went and did that.
Okay.
And then someone else who's like, he's a man, but he could identify as a dog. Or he's a grown man, but identifies as a child. And because children have the rights to be taken care of and now he needs to be gotten for a nanny because he identifies as a child.
Let me be that. I want to identify as a child right now.
So people were now saying that, like, me, I'm trans rich. Someone else is like, I'm trans child, trans animal. Like, do you feel like there's a limit if society accepts that, okay, you can can just choose to change your gender if you'd like to. Do you feel like there's a limit beyond which we can't just say, okay, me, I feel this way, and so society address me the way I've said it, I feel?
I believe in evolution, first and foremost. I feel like human beings will always keep on evolving.
Right.
So that means that in different seasons and in different stages in, existing as human beings, people will have different ways of how they look at things.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say that there is an end, and also I don't believe that there are people who have the moral ground to decide where it ends, because I think that's where the problem comes in.
Yeah.
You find people who say, who are you to decide for me if I want to identify as a paper bag? You get? So you identify as a paper
Why a
bag
paper bag?
and find your paper bag community. You get?
Yeah.
Like, just find your paper bag community. Maybe in the paper bag community, you guys go and, I don't know, you're going to help change environment, climate, whatever.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have a straight answer to that, but I just feel like the problem comes when there are people who decide that they're the ones who want to decide where it ends.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
almost everything that is used against a queer community was used against Black people, especially in America.
true. Yep.
What do you
Where
mean
does
you
it
want
end?
to write?
Exactly.
What you want
You
to
Exactly.
sit
in this
even
bag?
getting married,
Exactly.
even interracial couples,
Exactly.
even being president.
Yep.
Where does it end?
Where does it end?
You're right.
So
Yeah.
I see the same narratives, and I actually that's something which has helped me a bit. The idea that we are always evolving.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
actually, what's happening is that I want some things to stay the same. I'm not moving as fast maybe as everyone else. So maybe like now when I'm saying that I have limits in how I view maybe transitioning, especially around children, that's me staying
you.
the
Yeah,
same.
me
That's
too.
me
Yeah.
holding on
Yeah.
to like what I know
What
and
you
my
know.
safety
Yep.
and not be wanting to
Yeah.
move forward, which I accept and
Yeah.
I'm working on.
Yeah.
But yeah,
because
I
it's
think
like
that's
it's like if someone had an end to the things that you should do
Yeah.
As
Muriithi,
women.
As women.
There you go.
would you
Just
even have this podcast?
Would
You
you?
talk about sex.
On
we
a-
still get that now. Like,
yeah.
in
Yeah.
which world are women talking about sex?
Yeah.
Where
Crazy.
are we? Why has the world changed so much?
yeah. And if you think about it, everything goes
Yeah.
back to patriarchy.
It really does.
Everything goes back to patriarchy.
and supports the patriarchy.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I mean, with regards to your question about like
Yes.
children, for me, as I was even thinking about this episode, I was like, I definitely support you guys in the community.
Yeah.
But not
You, Jane. Jane,
you
I
guys in the
support you,
community. Yeah.
Chris.
But now
Yeah.
it's like in my house, and
Yeah.
my son or my daughter starts
Yeah.
telling me, or how I was assigned at birth.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like definitely, I feel like I'm in a better space now to be able to appreciate and be able to
Yeah.
tell them, I love you and we
Anyway,
will get, I
period.
love
Yeah.
you anyway, we will get through it together.
Yeah.
I think definitely, like Lydia said, there's like a lot more work that I would need to do
Yeah.
around
Yeah.
knowing how people will judge me
100%.
as their parent,
Yeah.
how difficult life would be for them. Because it's like, for me, even when people say the queer community have chosen to be queer, I'm like, who would choose a hard life? Because it's harder. Yeah. Why would anyone choose
Yep.
for people to hate them? Like, I
Yep.
just want you to hate me.
Yep.
That's why I'm just like, I know that people don't choose to be
Yeah.
that way. It's just
Yeah.
the way that they are.
Yeah.
I definitely feel like there's still a lot that I would need to unlearn with regards to, how
norms.
the norms
Yeah.
kind of thing. And
Yeah.
I think I've shared before on the podcast about how my husband and I had a whole fight about like my son, who he's masculine, he's a
Yeah.
boy,
Yeah.
but he has like some tendencies which sometimes can be a bit feminine, like
Yeah.
some bracelets. He likes to wear some necklaces,
Yeah.
which for me I'm just like, it's just a necklace. But my husband is just like, no, boys don't wear necklaces, or he'll say something like, my daughter will fall down and have a scar on her leg, and he'll be like, girls shouldn't have scars, boys can have scars, kind of thing. You see, so even for him, we'll have conversations and he'll see how it's like, you see, you are perpetuating
Your gaze.
you're exactly
Yeah.
the generalization of how girls should be or how boys should be. So I definitely feel like I would need some time.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like it's unovercomable. Let me
Okay.
say that. I don't think
Yeah.
it's unovercomable.
And I always say to both, queer children, parents who might be in this situation where, okay, this is the conversation and it's starting to happen in our space. I say to the parents, you have your own gaze. There's a way that you've been brought up. There's a way you look at things,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Please explain that to your child. Don't go into I bang the door and I don't want to hear this.
Yeah.
Explain why right now you're even struggling with hearing that.
Yeah.
Say, because this is how I look at things. But you see, this is how I look at things. Now I'm giving you an opportunity to explain to me how you look at things.
Yeah.
So we have to find a bridge in between for the kids to understand that my parent has been brought up in this way. This is what they know. This is what society has made them understand that is right. So I have to give them grace to go through what they're going through, whether it's going to take 2 years, 3 years, 3 days, 1 day. You have to give them grace. And the same thing with parents. You have to give your child grace. So it's really a test of we're gonna kind of meet in the middle. It might not start with it being in the middle. It might start with 80%, 20%, but at the end of the day, kids, give your parents grace. Adults, give your parents grace at whatever time you decide to have this conversation. And also with parents, be a little bit open-minded to be very honest that this does not make sense to me. Like I'm struggling with this. I'm completely struggling with this. But please, I'm going to give you an opportunity to say, what's up. And I'm going to try and cover it with love and, all those different kind of things.
Because how do you even support your child if you yourself, you need support to be able to overcome, where
there
you are and whatnot?
There you go.
Geez, really difficult.
Yeah. What's one thing you would say for allies? What do you think is important for us to do? What's the best way to support the community?
Yeah. Sometimes you find the community is too oppressed to even speak for themselves.
Okay.
But you who has sat here with me, who understands a little bit of different things right now, you can be able to be in a room to stop someone and say, actually, no.
Yeah.
That's
not
wrong.
true.
That's not true. Take time to educate people. Take time to hold space for people, who are oppressed and sometimes cannot be able to speak for themselves.
Yeah.
Let's not go into that mode of being quiet, because like you've just said, looking at the intersectionality of women rights, Black people, all those different kind of things, LGBTQ rights, really we're just trying to we're all trying to fight to just be included in spaces and to have equal treatment, when it comes to those kind of things. So don't be shy, to openly say you're an ally if you're an ally. Of course, sometimes allies also go through their own fair share of hate because of them.
Am I even ready? Am I ready?
Are you ready?
This?
Yeah.
Exactly. But when you're with queer people, reassure them that you see them, they're loved, they're seen. Yeah.
Okay, fine. Because a lot of people, and I love that's a curiosity. Like, what can I do, or like what are the things that I shouldn't do because I don't want to be offensive. I feel like if we're there, if that's where you're thinking, you're already doing a lot better than a lot of people 100%. For sure. Yeah.
Some of the things that people are writing.
The question, it's so hard. Some of the things you're going through.
Like, I mean, you can definitely see the biases that people have. A lot of people are still feel very like against the community, which I'm just like, I always wonder, how can you be so against something which literally, like right now, those people are just there living their life. You're just here. Why are we just
but I feel like it's because of what it means in their world. Like we hold on to the things that keep us comfortable. So I'm comfortable knowing they're men and they're women, and we grow up and we get married and we have children. So even a woman who doesn't have children, they go through stuff.
Exactly.
Because the world is stuck at this way. So anyone who moves in a different way is going to get so much slack.
And people can coexist. I always think about it. Christians accept that there are Islams, that there is Hinduism, that there's all these different things, and they coexist. Although their Bibles and scriptures can look very, very different. It's the same thing. Just accept that there can be different people and different things happening around you, in your circle, in your friends, and just let people be.
Okay, assuming somebody is trying to come out to their parent, can you like just, I'm your mom, I'm your parent. How what do they say? How do they say it?
Different folks, different strokes, first and foremost. But I would say, if you want to come out, think about, don't just do it without thinking, about the repercussions of what that means. So number one, if you're living with your parents, think about how are they, what is their personality? Am I going to say this and I'm kicked out tomorrow? So what does that mean for you? You sometimes you might have that pressure to come out today. This is when I want to do it. But what does it mean for the rest of your life? Do you want to just stay at home, finish your education, get your degree, go out, start your job, live your life? Then you can do whatever you want. So I always say be very, very careful when it comes to coming out. And for the unfortunate occurrences where someone is outed, now that's now when we go into, who is your tribe? Who is your community? Who are the people who can support you? Even when maybe the people that you've looked at for such a long time, who you love, are going to say, we don't want you in this space.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
I think I will say there's a lot of things to think about over there when it comes to coming out, just so that you don't end up in a worse situation compared to even how you were just living, you know, a normal life.
Exactly.
Yeah. Are there organizations that can support people who are either in the community or maybe struggling to come out? Are there organizations which you can shout
So
them
of
out?
course I'm going to shout out my own organization, Bold Network Africa. There's GALC, you know, who handle things within the community when it comes to security. There's National Gay and Lesbian Human Rights Commission that just, you know, got the Supreme Court gave them permission to be able to register, you know, as an NGO who help queer people with handling legal cases. You know, you've been fired at work because you're queer. They offer free services for that.
Oh, nice.
They're
We'll
different.
take links to this
And
and
we'll
put them in the
caption.
You can
description.
put them
Yeah,
over
in the
there.
description,
yeah.
So I can send you a couple of others. Like there are very many different, you know, in the scene doing amazing work.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
that's fantastic. That's great because I feel like maybe where you can't even speak, as you're saying, look who is your circle. Maybe even the circle isn't safe.
Yeah.
But that
Ooh,
maybe
yeah.
you might find somewhere.
Yep.
Somebody might understand you. So we're gonna put all of that down for anyone who might need support.
Yeah.
You can have a look.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I definitely feel like there are people who are going to be watching who will be offended and might unsubscribe or might be
That's
thinking
okay.
about leaving a negative comment. Let me tell you, it's okay if you've decided that you're anti-LGBTQIA, just don't leave it on our page.
Don't
please.
leave it on
you
our
can
page,
think it and
for
then just
sure.
move. Yeah, exactly. But
That's-
please don't leave it because
Yeah.
And that's
if
powerful allyship. That's powerful allyship. You know,
yeah?
taking a stance. You know, allyship is taking a stance. Like what my very good friend Bian said, he takes a stance.
Exactly.
He says, "This, I support this, and I'm not gonna take any hate or bullshit around
Yeah,
this."
yeah. Okay, that's fantastic. I'm thinking of all. I'm sure there's so many other questions,
I
guys.
know, we
And if
could
you're watching on
definitely have
YouTube,
more.
please drop them down. Maybe we can have another conversation on Instagram if
Yep.
you are available.
Yep. Yeah.
We can take some of the questions which you have if we haven't answered them all because there's so much to have.
so
So much conversation to
Yeah.
have around this. Personally, I feel like, have I said everything? Okay, so this is one thing I wanted to say.
Yeah.
Even though I stand as an ally, sometimes I'll come on your Instagram page and maybe something is happening and, you know, you say something and, you know, people speak up and I'm just like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. Sometimes it feels like, you know, they say silence is what?
Silence.
Is
It's a form of betrayal.
or compliant or something
Yeah.
like when you're silent you're also supporting but then sometimes I'm like, do I even know enough? Like when I open my mouth to say this, what am I saying? Because I have a platform, what I say can't just be you're
Yeah,
just saying,
you're just saying,
you know.
you
So
can't-
maybe I just want to say, because sometimes I feel like you see me not
Oh,
saying anything. Yeah, so sometimes
Y'all
I
are feeling
feel-
guilty. You're like, oh my God, I'm sure
yeah,
McKenna's
but
seen.
for me, it's more of like when you say something now, all the questions that come, you know,
yeah.
as a result, it's like now, okay,
So,
fine. So
yeah.
let's talk about it. But I'm like, I don't have all the information to be able to actually talk
sometimes
about
that's
it.
what I
you
feel
know?
like, and
Yeah.
so because I feel deep inside like you're seeing,
Yeah.
specifically Lydia is not.
I see you,
It's
Lydia.
sometimes from a perspective of not having the correct information. I feel like we do that with any topic. If we're going to speak about one thing specifically, we want to go into research, and if I haven't done that, sometimes I feel like I don't necessarily just want to jump on the bandwagon. So I really just want to just alleviate my own projection of guilt
Okay.
on
Perfect.
you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for being honest.
Yes.
I think once you understand the challenges of what queer people go through, it helps in one way or another.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you ask me what are some of the challenges that queer people go through in this country, we do not have equal access to very many different things that, you know, straight people have. Queer people cannot be able to go into hospitals and be very open about, you know, how they live their life.
Yeah.
Because immediately you tell, you know, at certain doctors, you know, that my partner is a woman, then immediately there's that.
Oh, right.
We don't support that here. We're not going to treat you. So it means
That actually happens.
100%. 100%. You know, people look at it from the surface area, and that's
But
why
they're
I
not
keep on
allowed to
saying
do that, right?
they're not, but they project their homophobia on this kind of issue, and that's how discrimination happens. You have queer people who are fired from their workplace because they're queer.
Yeah.
You get? So we do not enjoy the same equal rights that every single person in this country enjoys. There are queer people who have been kicked out of their churches. I used to go to church myself. At some point after I came out, it was impossible to go to that church.
Because everyone's staring at you.
Everybody's
or-
staring.
Yeah.
You know, different people in the congregation have their opinions. Different people in the congregation feel it's a sin. Why are you even here? So even if you're a Christian and this is how you want to live your life, you're kind of sort of reduced into, okay, go pray where it matters, you know. So when you do not understand the challenges, you know, of what queer people go through, and you just have this blanket way of thinking of, we will not allow this here, you have to understand their challenges for you to be able to speak up.
Right.
For to just say, you know, as an ally, is just saying, all these people are asking for is inclusion. They're not saying, bring us into your house, we want to live with you.
Yeah.
We're just saying, when we enter into these different hospitals, we want to also be treated the same way you're treated.
Exactly.
When we work in spaces, we want to be able to work without us being fired because of our own identities. We don't want to be kicked out of places where we live because we are queer. We're just human beings like everybody else. So I think when you're an ally and you really do not know what to say, when many different things are happening, is give them equal rights like everybody else.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is basically the
I
fight
can
that
do that easy.
women have all
There
the
you
time.
go.
It's like, even me, when I walk into a room, I want you to just treat me like I'm just a normal person,
There
because
you go.
my womanness has nothing to do with this presentation that we are working on.
Thank
so
you.
it literally is the same thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
there
feel
you
like
go.
maybe that's the way to think
Yeah.
about it, so that you can be more empathetic.
Absolutely.
To be honest, I usually just say, let me lead with empathy. Wherever I go with that, I feel like I want to be too far off. I won't
Exactly.
be too far off.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you so much
Thank
for
you
this
so much.
conversation.
Yeah.
I know it's going to be eye-opening. I know so many people are going to benefit, because if you feel you're not benefiting, we know the audience who have been sending us DMs.
Yeah.
We know that people are
We
going to
know.
be
Yeah.
benefiting. So thank you so much
Exactly.
for coming to have this conversation.
Thank you,
I
yeah.
feel that I've learned a lot more than I knew.
Me too.
Before.
But
Yeah.
I feel like I have more answers, but also a shit ton
more
more questions.
Okay.
A
It's like,
lot
yeah.
more questions.
We can have a part 2
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
you
I'll just text
after
you
this
11
and we see.
p.m. So
There you go.
now,
So now there's
when
this.
now
I thought
you
of
say-
this. Yeah.
I get very many people in my circle, like they use me as the dictionary to just
Yeah.
like ask different things. So please feel free.
Okay.
Feel free.
Please tell our audience where they can find you on social media.
On social media, the handle, please, Meta.
Come on.
The handle is still at McKenna-Jerry, but hopefully it will be Chris Muriithi when they change that. Twitter, really not active. You know, Twitter is a weird scene. My company is Bold Network Africa, also on Instagram, so you can go and follow it there. I'm also on LinkedIn, in all those different platforms.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And ours, of course, Murugi Munyi, Lydia KM, TMI Podcast KE. Do follow us everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And thank you so much, guys, for being here. As we said, please put any questions that you have. Observe your language. Curiosity is welcome. Hate is not. And we're going to see you in the next episode.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.